Veterinarian Brian Buckberger knows what a happy and healthy animal should look like. But about 3 weeks ago, the vet of almost 20 years treated a dog he thought had to have been neglected.
This dog had severe skin infections that had been obviously going on for a long time.
The dog came from It Matters to One Animal Rescue in Sugar Camp. 3 weeks ago, a humane officer with the Oneida County Sheriff's Office had gotten several complaints of neglect at the animal rescue. The officer went in and found the pit bull mix that needed medical help. That led to an inspection at the animal rescue Monday.
They realized that these dogs needed to be removed immediately because there was some concern about neglect.
39 dogs were taken from the animal rescue and taken to the Oneida County Humane Society. The sheriff's office says a few other dogs needed medical attention while others needed food and water. Captain Terry Hooks says the sheriff's office is investigating how and where that neglect started in the first place.
These dogs are coming in and some of them already have issues, but the dogs that we're talking about, some of those dogs have been there for a long period of time. Specifically, the first dog that was taken out of there we know had been there for several months.
Former volunteers and employees have reached out to say there were no animals ever neglected at the rescue. But Captain Hook's first priority is the dogs.
Our concern right now is making sure that the dogs are safe and cared for and not being neglected.
Oneida County Humane Society Director Bria Swartout says they're used to taking care of up to 30 dogs at a time, so having almost 60 dogs can be overwhelming.
It's very difficult to see that many dogs come in at one time anyway, so it's, staff is prepared for situations like this. So we just want to help.
Help that Buckberger is happy to give. The first dog that came in is still recovering.
The dog has still a lot of severe skin sores that have healed up quite significantly. The dog has a lot of actual scarring of its skin, scarring of the head, neck, and the legs that he may have for the rest of his life.
We're covering the news in Rhinelander. Mary O'Connell, Newswatch 12.
These days, Kelly Snow calls a pit bull named Darcy happy and playful. But Darcy didn't always look this good.
I believe Darcy is neglect. I believe it proves neglect.
If you look at her eyes.
Snow points to her pictures of Darcy taken just a few months ago when the dog was under the care of operator Stephanie Schneider at It Matters to One in Sugar Camp. Snow's pictures show skin issues, problems which stood out to Rhinelander veterinarian Brian Buckberger when he first examined the dog.
This dog had severe skin infections that had been obviously going on for a long time.
Snow had volunteered for It Matters to One for more than 3 years. She started working there last summer. Snow says Schneider let Darcy's condition go on for months without proper treatment.
She might have been a dog lover, which confuses me because if you're a dog lover, she should not have let Darcy's condition go on like that.
Darcy's condition led Snow to report Schneider to the Oneida County Humane Society, which triggered Sheriff's Office action in January. They seized 39 dogs and arrested Schneider in February.
Our concern right now is making sure that the dogs are safe and cared for and not being neglected.
Snow says animal mistreatment at It Matters to One didn't end with Darcy the pit bull.
It was insanity.
According to Snow, many dogs didn't get a bath for years, and they often went without adequate food.
They're going a day without food here, 2 days without food here, a half portion here, oh, third day without food.
Snow started to believe Schneider had a hoarding mentality, telling customers popular dogs had already been adopted out when that wasn't true. At points last year, Snow says the problems deepened.
What do you know? Stephanie does not show up for all of her shifts. And it is her rescue, it is her responsibility. Some of the time she wouldn't even know who was working.
Schneider's lawyer told me Schneider wasn't interested in being interviewed for this story. But on Sunday, It Matters to One did make a post on Facebook saying, "We have given our lives to this rescue, emotionally, physically, and financially. We have saved almost 1,400 dogs in 3.5 years. Snow says she was scared to report Schneider at first. Now, she says she's speaking up for the well-being of dogs like Darcy.
It needs to be done because it's the truth and it's the right thing to do.
Good girl.
We're covering the news in Oneida County. Ben Meyer, Newswatch 12.
What? You ready? You ready? Over here?
Betty has considered herself a dog lover for a long time. So it only made sense to her to volunteer at It Matters to One in Sugar Camp.
I thought it was a good thing. I like the name of it. It Matters to One. That kind of hit me.
Betty, who prefers we only use her first name, spent a few months volunteering there last year. But it wasn't long until she saw dirty kennels, lack of care, and signs of animal mistreatment.
It was so filthy. back there and just, I couldn't do it. My spirit was broken. I couldn't do it anymore.
What Betty describes matches closely with the findings of government regulators and pictures, videos, and text messages submitted to the Oneida County Health Department. Oneida County Public Health Nurse Robbie Deedy found evidence of vomit and diarrhea in several places. He documented exposed electrical wiring, medications throughout the building, and surfaces covered with urine and feces. Food and water were apparently an issue. One employee texted another, "These dogs are literally starving." A different employee texted operator Stephanie Schneider, "This is just ridiculous. They shouldn't have to go this long without water." Schneider replied, "They can go without water for a few hours."
Worms were another thing. Bloody stool with lots of worms.
An employee even documented the times Schneider didn't show up for her own shifts, counting 7 instances between November and January. On March 8th, Wisconsin's Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection suspended Schneider's license to operate at Matters to One. State veterinarian Dr. Paul McGraw was involved in that decision.
We don't just go out and pick on an individual. We have standards across the program.
It was the first time a license was suspended in the 6-year history of the program.
Basically, to suspend is a higher level. When we suspend, that's got to be imminent danger for either the public or the animals.
The state had been aware of issues since at least May, sending a warning letter to Schneider on May 24th. A different letter, sent by Rhinelander veterinarian Dr. Brian Buckberger in early 2017, said facts clearly indicate exorbitant neglect, especially since it was in a situation that claims to help animals. In early February, the Oneida County Sheriff's Office seized 39 animals from It Matters to One, and Schneider was arrested on February 16th. Betty had already quit a month and a half earlier, saying she wasn't able to take it anymore.
It totally hurt my heart. It broke my spirit.
Now she's wishing for something different in the rescue's future.
I hope that It Matters to One will be reopened by somebody who actually cares about the place and could keep it the way it should be.
We're covering the news in Oneida County. Ben Meyer, Newswatch 12. Kelly Snow was prepared to testify in Oneida County Court today and talk about the animal mistreatment she saw at It Matters to One Animal Rescue.
We were scheduled for a hearing today.
But instead, the former employee didn't take the stand. Lawyers agreed the seized dogs wouldn't go back to Steph Schneider or her rescue.
I am extremely happy.
In the agreement, the Oneida County Humane Society retained legal control of the dozens of dogs. Many of the former rescue center dogs are now eligible for adoption.
There's 12 available dogs for adoption.
Humane Society Director Bria Swartout hopes to find new families for those dogs. She's already adopted out more than half of the 39 dogs seized by the Sheriff's Office. That's from an agreement with It Matters to One, in effect even before today's hearing.
I'm just happy that these dogs are able to find their homes.
But Kelly Snow isn't happy. Schneider still faces no criminal charges.
There should definitely be charges already.
Although Schneider was arrested in February, she hasn't been charged for animal mistreatment. Earlier this month, the Oneida County District Attorney's Office said it would make a decision after the civil case finished. In a text message today, Schneider said, "I knew months ago that there were no charges going to be filed. The allegations were false." Although Snow is pleased the dogs won't be going back to Schneider, she's looking for justice.
I want to see felony charges. I want to see felony charges.
Stephanie Schneider and her supporters probably feel relieved today. An Oneida County prosecutor announced this afternoon that the operator of the It Matters to One dog rescue won't face criminal charges. County health workers ordered Schneider to clean up her dog rescue operation, and state regulators suspended her license to sell dogs to adoptive families. But Schneider won't be prosecuted by the district attorney's office. Oneida County Assistant District Attorney Mary Sawinski announced the decision this afternoon. But she said it wasn't, quote, necessary or appropriate, unquote, to give a reason why no charges will be filed.
When a prosecutor decides not to bring criminal charges, really commenting further about that, it isn't really necessary, and I won't be doing that in this case.
Schneider was booked by the Oneida County Sheriff's Office on February 16th. The Sheriff's Office recommended animal mistreatment charges to prosecutors, but Schneider's attorney says that doesn't always mean charges get filed.
The notion that charges that are recommended by law enforcement are always charged out, no. Prosecutors have a lot of discretion.
Both lawyers wanted to focus more on encouraging adoptions for the remaining dogs, not the lack of charges. Those dogs are available for adoption at the Oneida County Humane Society.